UFC 311 is now behind us. It's time to look forward. So, what should be next for the Ultimate Fighting Championship and the stars of UFC 311? Well, let me tell you. We will start with the number one pound for pound fighter in all the land. It is Islam Makhachev. I think his next fight should be Arman Tsarukyan. Feels like we've had that before. A lot of talk about an Ilya Topuria fight, Topuria doing a good job of stoking those fires, and if that's the fight you make, there is going to be no complaining from behind this microphone. But I do feel like if you want to have a guy go into super fight mode as your champion, you should probably let him clear out the division first. And there is still one more fighter that I think still has earned that opportunity in Arman Tsarukyan. So I think that Tsarukyan deserves a chance. Now, do I see that fight going any differently than the one we just watched with Renato Moicano? I do not. But I do think that Tsarukyan still deserves that opportunity to get that chance. And if Makhachev is moving into super fight territory, like it does put Tsarukyan in a bit of a tough spot. Maybe it lets him, like Luke Thomas on Morning Combat was talking about how this could be a blessing in disguise because you have a guy who is now getting a chance to build up his skills a little bit more and maybe catch Makhachev when it's on the back end a little bit. So there could be a blessing in disguise here, but I do think that Arman should get the next opportunity at the number one pound for pound fighter in the Ultimate Fighting Championship on the men's side. The guy who just lost to him, Renato Moicano, his next fight, Beneil Dariush. Again, feels like we got some deja vu going on here. I think you just go back to the fight you were supposed to make in the first place. It'll be a good chance for Moicano to get back on track and see what he learned coming out of that title loss, and it'll still, I don't want to say it was a nothing performance, because like we said in the breakdown, he showed at least a little bit there in the stand-up and creating a scramble. All it showed was that he is not the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. But I do still think that he needs to show that he deserves to be consistently in the lightweight title picture, and I think a fight with Beneil Dariush would do that. Or it shows that Dariush has what it takes to make one more run at a potential title opportunity for him. We move on to the bantamweight division as Merab Dvalishvili put on a show for the ages at UFC 311. I have his next opponent being Petr Yan. Yan has won back-to-back fights since losing to Merab in 2023, and I just don't feel like anyone else is ready for that title opportunity. I think you could put Umar back in there and have it make sense, but I do think that Yan is the one who is the most deserving of this opportunity right now. So, who does Umar get? If he is not going to get an immediate rematch, who should Umar Nurmagomedov fight in his next bout? I have him against Sean O'Malley. Let's just put the last two guys to lose to the champion in there together, and one of them gets a very much needed win to get right back on track and potentially back into a title shot right away. And the other one will have some soul searching to do a little bit. But both of them are big enough, either talent-wise or draw-wise or both, that you can survive a couple of losses. They're going to need a couple of wins after that, but they can work themselves back into title consideration, I think, pretty quickly following any kind of a loss there. So I think that is the one that makes sense to me. Last one here, Yuri Prochazka. I have him against the Jan Blachowicz, Carlos Ulberg winner. You're coming out of that, you're going to have two highly ranked fighters who I will think need to impress a little bit more to get back into the light heavyweight championship picture. And so I think that it is something that I think it's a fight that makes sense. And honestly, you can just do this tournament style where you then have why am I blanking? Jamal Hill, have him kind of split off, and he'll fight the loser of the Blachowicz-Ulberg fight in his next bout. So those are the fights I think that should be made coming out of UFC 311. But we got a lot of fun stuff coming up next week, getting ready for the UFC in Saudi Arabia as Israel Adesanya is back in the octagon. So we'll get ready for that coming up next week.